What is going on, guys? It's your boy VG, and welcome to the Unknown Minds podcast, where the unknown mind isn't so known. And today, I got a special guest. You can introduce yourself.
Hey y'all, so my name is RIcarda Mills. I'm a full-time student at North Carolina A&T, but I'm also running my own business, in the process of opening my own brokerage. I have agents all throughout the East and Central Coast as well.
All right, so elaborate. What is this business particularly like? What is it under?
In terms of the company I'm under, or?
For sure, yeah, the company.
Okay, so I work with people helping people, and we're an FMO, a financial marketing organization.
Damn, that shit sounds so goddamn professional.
I'm crying.
That sounds professional as hell. So how long you been in PHP?
So I started back in September of 2021, and just been running ever since.
So, and short, like, what made you want to get into a group? What invoked you to, like, step out there to get into PHP? If a lot of people, whoever's under a damn rock that don't know what PHP is, all right, I do know it's under, what's his name?
Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah, Patrick Bet-David. Yes, I do know that for sure. But just elaborate a little bit more on PHP. So if people wanted to get into the group or they want to get into, like, that, it ain't even a corporation. I don't know why I'm about to say corporation. Is it a corporation? Is it more of a corporation, or is it like a?
Well, we always title it as an FMO. So it's a financial marketing organization, and we just market financial products on behalf of different Fortune 500 companies. So we're kind of like the middleman.
In other words, if you wanted to get into this FMO group, kind of like elaborate why people should get into PHP.
Gotcha. So the main aspect that if anybody were to look up PHP, people helping people, we're an insurance agency and we distribute insurance products, right? So never in a million years would I had ever told you I would wake up and say I want to be an insurance agent, because that's, even still today, I don't call myself that. More so of a solutions agent, because we understand that multiple things that we encounter in this world are either revolving around issues and problems with money and finances, or just all around problems with your mindset, so we actually work on increasing people's identities to increase their income. So that's, by the books you read, the meetings you attend, the people you surround yourself with. But as PHP as a whole, we're focusing on getting education out for financial literacy purposes.
It's some key things you said in it too. Finding identity, like that kind of like stuck out to me, because there's like a lot of people that's really rolling out here in these streets, you know what I'm saying? And I think when we chatted up before, I'm like, this word entrepreneurship, but a lot of people, they just take that word for granted. It's like, I think that's loosely flung around as if everyone wants to be one now. And I feel like in two aspects of it, not a lot of people should be entrepreneurs, but then a lot of people should be entrepreneurs. So what do you believe would be some key metrics for someone? Well, how can I say not metrics, but what are some key personalities that most entrepreneurs have that signifies that someone should be an entrepreneur?
Okay, so that's a great question. Honestly, going back to what you said before, when people hear the word entrepreneurship, of course, they understand that entails controlling your own time, controlling your own income, not having to work for somebody else, and so forth. But if you don't have the discipline, you don't have the consistency, you don't have any value to bring to others, look, as an entrepreneur, you get paid based on the size of the problems that you solve. And if you can't solve any problems, if you don't have any leadership qualities, you have no business being an entrepreneur or even trying to call yourself that. So, like, people don't want to go to school. They drop out prematurely. Yeah, you can make a meal, do what you want to do. But if it's not going to help people behind you, if you can't teach somebody else how to do it, you can't really call yourself an entrepreneur.
That's a good shit. You done tapped into goddamn 4 or 5 topics I could damn near elaborate on, especially when you were saying, like, providing value. I think, like, just think about how every business owner operates, right? We could talk about Jeff Bezos. We could talk about Elon Musk. We could talk about these people that the purpose of, let's talk about Bezos for a little bit, right? And when you're talking about value, right? Value doesn't mean simply just by, like, what you say or what you do, is how much you give.
Exactly.
And when we talking about Amazon got everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's value within itself. Like, if you could literally go in and go and get an iPhone, you go in and get a goddamn basketball court. Shit, if you want to go shop for a car on Amazon, which is kind of weird, you can actually shop for cars for Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, on car parts. It's kind of crazy. That shit crazy.
I'm not surprised.
That shit crazy. So, and that within itself is, as long as you have some form of a product or some type of intellectual property that you're able to give to people, you always remain and have value. So I think that's like a huge thing. And I think a lot of people, they get into these businesses and they don't know what value their business actually give. You know what I'm saying? Or they don't know what type of audience they should be giving their product to. And I feel like marketing is like one of the number one things being an entrepreneur. Like, you got to know how to sell, bro. Like,
Yeah, I mean, so of course it depends on your realm of entrepreneurship. You have people who do clothing brands, you have people who start their own hair products or hair vendors, things like that, or you could be a distributor, you know, so like in the realms of financial literacy, basically what I do, right? So I wouldn't say that it's always about what you can sell, but more so what you can give people a different perspective on. Because a lot of things that we're conditioned to, not even just through school but through the world, of course, like what you see on a normal, like going back to entrepreneurship, people see all the beauty that you can gain from entrepreneurship, but they don't see how many years it took people to go through the knit and grit of building the discipline to make their own schedule, making sure they actually do make best use of their time, type of thing. So it's not always about what you sell, it's just what you can educate people on.
that's, you know what, that's true. And it's like, one thing you did say is like self-discipline definitely separates the strong from the weak. Self-discipline is a lot, that takes a lot of mental work. And I think in order for people to develop the sense of discipline, you got to have a sense of purpose, right? You can't have discipline without purpose. You can't have purpose without discipline. I think when you set up a business, when you move with intention, that every move counts. Mm-hmm. So because I even know that for myself, like I can give myself I can be very transparent. Like before I got into the job where I'm at now, like I work at a delivery job, Fetch, right? And the reason why I got into Fetch because it gave me the flexibility of time, right? Besides, like if you go to a corporation, you're held captive for 8 hours and then getting 2-week pay. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit more different. So like you literally, you're forced to work 8 hours of someone else borrowing your time that you were given. And like when I had to sit back and look at that perspective, I'm like, damn, I came back home from work, be tired as hell, be trying to do podcasts and then trying to study a financial skill. And I think to people in general, time is your greatest asset. And it's like what differentiates you from the next individual is how the way you use your time.
Exactly.
And I hate this concept of like a lot of people, they would usually say they don't have enough time. Mm-hmm. Bro, you have 24 hours a day just like I have 24 hours a day, right? And you have 1,440 minutes, just like how I had the same thing. So how well using your time? And I think people, they put their time into something that they believe is valuable and it's not really as valuable as they seem.
Yep. That goes into, I know it was a topic you said you wanted to touch on, but the difference between instant gratification and delayed gratification, right? So when we work for other people, so for example, right, you mentioned Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Being in the world of, well, actually, this is what we actually like to tell people within my agency of people helping people. Of course, you can have people, like, someone who works in a fulfillment center for Amazon, right? At least one person.
I have, used to work.
You worked. Okay, you used to work.
Used to work.
But have you or any of your friends ever met Jeff Bezos?
Hell no.
But do you think he's still making money off of you?
Hell yeah.
So would you rather stay on that fixed income, or would you rather capitalize off of not a linear, but an index income you could possibly have? So it's like, would you rather be taught how to work for Jeff Bezos or become a Jeff Bezos?
I'd rather go into the direction of learning how to be like, not like work on that level of Jeff Bezos, but a lot of people, they don't want to take that sacrifice.
So not literally his level, but I'm saying how he's able to capitalize on his time by having different vessels distributing the same thing he was trying to accomplish. So when that goes into delayed gratification, people see working for somebody else, trading their time for money, they know they're getting a paycheck off of that. So, I'm good. That's the instant gratification. But as an entrepreneur, you need to work a lot of time in order to start getting the big sums of money that you expecting to get. That's the delayed gratification portion.
I feel like one of the biggest things is like understanding that everyone could get to that level. I ain't gonna say it's entrepreneurship is kind of like a competition, but not really. I put it in a way because it's kind of like, I ain't gonna say who gets rich the fastest, but who methods works better to get rich fast. And trust and believe me, like entrepreneurship is not like a get rich quick scheme. And that's another topic. It's not a get rich quick scheme, yo. Like, for one, I literally just had an Instagram post. I literally just posted like a reel I just posted. And I was stating something like, there's no such thing as perfect time, right?
Right.
And a lot of people disagree with me on that. They was like, What you mean? There's always a perfect time. I said it's only a perfect time unless you educate yourself. Like you can't expect something to fall into place without educating yourself on how you can create that perfect time. Right. So it's like the now time is the perfect time, but people waiting for a perfect time that doesn't exist. So literally, I how do you not? Before I left the last job I was at, it was at a warehouse. Right. It wasn't an Amazon warehouse. It was a warehouse dealing with carpets. That was literally my first job. And that's like my first job literally is what enforced me to want to become more of an entrepreneur, and plus that exposure. Like, right? So I put my money where my mouth is when I got into like this space dealing with podcasting or dealing with trying to invest. Because I was sitting, like I said, we talked about it before. Like I was sitting in the crib, going to the club, you know what I'm saying? Going to the club. Hey, I'm gonna give me and my homie a drink real quick, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we said that, all right, boom, boom. So now I go back home. Shit, I got another bill due next day. So now I'm plopped in the goddamn negative.
Exactly.
So now I'm over there looking crazy. I'm like, damn, I really just did this to myself. And not realizing that it was because of the lack of financial information and financial literacy is what put me in the predicament I was in.
That's deep.
So a lot of people, they have this victim mentality. Right? They was like, oh, why did this happen to me? Why did this, what transpired? What made, it's actions. Yeah. Past actions is what creates a present moment solution or a present moment problem. It could be both. Present moment problem and present moment solution. Whatever you did in the past can also help you solve more problems, also make more problems.
Exactly. And that's like, you hit it right on the nose, honestly. Like just seeing the things that you lacked to do before is going to come to fruition now. Like it's never going to be a perfect time. It's literally, you're never going to be ready. Like when people saying, oh, I'll get started when I'm ready, you ain't never going to be ready.
Because ready is like, it's like preparing, right? I did when I started on my podcast, before I actually dropped content, I waited about 3 months to stack hella content. And one of my homies, he was telling me, he was like, yo, you been preparing a long time. You ain't even make the move yet, bro.
Yeah, just put it out there.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you right, though. He's like, bro, what the hell is the point of you getting all this damn content out here if you're not going to showcase it nowhere?
That's funny you say that, because that is something that I personally struggled with, because it was like posting, just consistently on Instagram and doing reels or posting pictures and stuff. And I'm just like, no, I have to feel it. Like I have to get the click to know that it's my time, or I have to organize it in a certain way for people to see it. But it's like, you are never going to know what you're trying to post right now is going to hit somebody else. Like you're so over here trying to be perfect, but not to get all religious, but God is my savior. The only reason I'm able to give y'all this wisdom, but God's timing is always perfect.
Sure.
God's timing is perfect. So you put it out there, you never know who it could hit.
Right.
Just do it.
And I think it's to people it's selfish by trying to make themselves perfect because they only think of themselves.
Yep.
So in that moment when you're trying to make perfect content, you're only thinking of how you feel about the content, not how someone else feels. And that shit I just thought about. Damn, that shit. Hey, that shit was hard. I ain't gonna lie. See now, when we go into that type of aspect, right? Sometimes you can make content anywhere. Like anywhere could be a place of content. So like personally me, most of the time when I get my content off, I'm in a car or some shit. Like I'm not trying to sit here and trying to put on this face of, all right, I need to be professional 99.9% of the time, because it ain't about, I don't care how bad the content is, as long as it gives you that value, that's what really matters.
Yeah.
So like you can literally sit here, bottom line, you can literally sit here, watch a 4K video and another 720 pixels video, and a 720 pixels video can give off more value than a 4K video.
Yeah.
So it's not really about the quality, it's about the value behind the quality. You know what I'm saying? So like, it'd be many people that be like, all right, look, let me just drop content and don't have some type of quality to it. I have one of my homies, he was trying to tell me that too. I'm like, nah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna drop quality, but I want quantity with it too. You feel me? So it's like, what did you waiting on? I'm waiting on for it to get just good enough. And I think what separates the greats from the average people is that they always know there's more work that need to be done.
Yeah.
I'm good at what I'm doing, but I can become great at it. And when I become great, I become amazing at it. And amazing, I don't know what the hell goes more than amazing. Like, I don't know what goes further than that. I think phenomenal. Yeah. And there's not a lot of many people that can hit that phenomenal level.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's because like I said, they in a fixated mindset of trying to be. I don't know if it's trying to be perfect, but they know like, it's always they could do better.
I feel like people get that into a misconception of like you said, they try to make it perfect because they only think about themselves. When you don't even recognize that what you're doing, like even getting yourself out there, trying to fulfill the value that you want to bring, you're feeling that for a reason. So it's so much bigger than you. It's like, even if you sit back and you're like, man, I quit. Like, I'm not going to do this no more because I don't feel like it's good enough. You sit back, but it's still going to be trickling in your head. That's because it's literally a purpose God is telling you to fulfill. And it's like nobody else is feeling that same thing. So it's clearly on you to make it happen.
Right,
you ain't seeing no changes around you. Anybody else doing it like you want to do it.
That's why I believe association is a very important thing too. Because like, you know, if you're around niggas that ain't shit,
you gonna be.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just a close case scenario. And you don't realize you can make millions until you hang around people that making millions.
Yeah.
You don't realize you can make 10 bands until you hang around people that's making 10 bands.
Yeah, and we actually just came from a conference, right, in Vegas for a whole week. And we were talking to different people who were like basically like the top executives in the company. You just look at these people like, oh, I could never be what they are. And they literally will tell you their story from the trenches. Like you can see their growth in their speech. Right. And so one of them, I'm blanking on who it was, so I don't even want to put the name out there and I'm wrong. But they said something about how when they made their first 500K, they were like, man, never in a million years would I have thought I could make that. You know, if you compare me to my family, they're like, oh my God, he's a breadwinner. But then if you look at the other executives in the company, they making over here $1 million, $2 million. And they're like, dang, I'm just a little pea in the pod. But it's normal to them to making 500K because they're around people who have done it. So that's the association.
Facts.
Yeah.
That's facts. And I think another reason why like a lot of people are hindering from like growth, and when especially coming to entrepreneurship or just business wise in general, or just in the financial literacy field, is that the factor of they're trying to compare themselves with so many people.
Hello.
And I think comparison is the number one killer of joy.
Why did you just take the words out of my mouth? I swear I told you that when we was comparison is the thief of all joy.
Yeah, for sure. And so, you know, when you too busy comparing yourselves, it's like you're trying to place your vision in someone else's goal. So like someone else's goal may not be your vision.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of people fall short, because they feel like when someone hits 10K likes, 10K views, they don't see that those 10K views on 10K likes came from 30 or 40 goddamn videos they done posted way ahead of time. And now what they see is instant gratification. They thinking that shit was quick. So now I feel like social media really ruined that for a lot of people, because it's like, and I can't say it did, but I can't say it didn't. The reason why is the fact of, like, when someone works hard, you don't have to show how much work you putting in, because who is you trying to show off to?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So if you going on there, man, I'm staying up late at night, them people just gonna look at your shit, swipe to the next story. You know what I'm saying? And I this was also something I stated too, like, always, I mean repeatedly, like, when you got a business, when you have something that you got going on, it's no problem to support you. That's never a crime, because at the end of the day, the greatest supporter is you, yourself. And how much effort you put into your business, how much other people gonna put into your business.
Exactly. And I feel like that's a big misconception when it comes to having your own business and mentoring other people, because the mentees would start to think, oh, I'm gonna compare my chapter 1 to their chapter 15. And I'm going to be like, oh, I could never be there. You didn't even read the book. Yeah, you ain't even read the book. And so one thing that I know, like, just when it comes to talking about, you know, I don't want to say haters, but when you start building something, especially in entrepreneurship, you're going to have so many naysayers. You're going to have so many doubters. And they're basically just, their insecurities are going to continue to reveal themselves as the taller up you get, you know? So it's like the taller you grow, the more insecurities are going. But what you always need to keep in your mind is that, of course, in order to lead people, in order to bring value to people, it's not always about how perfect you are, but it's more so how you handle your imperfections.
Also, authenticity.
Exactly.
How authentic you are.
Exactly.
Because authenticity stretch lanes, bro. Like, if you become super authentic, someone in this world is relating to exactly how you feel. Right? So don't try to, like, I would say, like, Get ideas from others, meaning like how you want to be able to market yourself, but also be authentic where it's still some of you in it.
Yeah, if you're not you, then you're gonna just hit a brick wall continuously.
It's it's literally so easy to become someone else or try to act like someone else, but it takes more confidence to be you. Mm-hmm. It takes hella confidence, like for you to be authentically you from tip to toe. Like
you'll last much longer that way too.
Yeah, you want. I mean, then I think authentic people hang around authentic people, but sometimes authentic people hang around the wrong people.
Yeah, without knowing.
And I think it's because of just not being aware of who you associated with,
right.
And not peeping out the clues, bro. Like the minute you sit there and you listen to someone, you literally people expose themselves every day. You just have to have the ears to listen.
And it wasn't until, honestly, of course, that's a commonality that people think about, am I surrounded by the right people? But it wasn't until I read this book called Give and Take, where you differentiate givers, takers, and matchers. And it's literally, as you start to read through the book, you're like, dang, like you know exactly who's a giver, exactly who's a taker, exactly who's a matcher. The people who are the givers are usually the most authentic people, and they always come out on top. They may not have as much personal results from the jump, but what's entrepreneurship? Long-term runs, right?
Yeah.
It's delayed gratification. So the more you give to people, the more you're going to be blessed with later. So like a lot of times when I was younger, I would just be like, oh, I'm going to treat people how I want to be treated. Oh, no matter how they treat me, I'm going to do what I would want to feel like, Right. And it's as the older you get, of course, you have this innocence when you're younger, but then you get punched, you get smacked in the face, you get stabbed in the back, and you're like...
Like life will whoop your ass. You know how many times life whoop my ass? Like you're literally like not to throw shit. Every family has its deficiencies, bro. Like every family has some form of deficiencies. But sometimes you can't rely on your blood to see your vision.
Mm-hmm. And because God ain't given that vision.
Right. And it's like a lot of people, they would literally sit here and was like, he didn't see my vision, and like don't get me wrong, like we all like I've been even putting that vision. Like I would literally tell like a family member vision of mine, and they'll just like, oh okay. They shrug their shit off like, what you mean okay? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh what you mean? But it's because most people who hate, they hate because they know they should be doing what you doing.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? They were like, you doing because they know in themselves that they should be doing the exact thing that you're doing right now, but they didn't take the courage and the confidence to do what you're doing.
And that just sparked my mind because it's like, of course you can tell your family members or you could tell people around you what you're doing, but they're not going to even, or they could just be like, oh, okay, because they think you're just going to die off.
They think you capping.
Yeah, they don't see you for where you're going. They see you for where you are right now.
And that's a huge misconception right there too. Yeah, you can't judge somebody where they at now because man, I might be broke one day and next day I might, I might hop up in a coupe. Okay. You know what I'm talking about? I'm in a goddamn Bugatti or a motherfucking Ferrari or something. You know what I'm saying? You might call me broke today. Hey, motherfucker, yeah, don't mean I'm gonna be broke next week or next year.
Exactly.
Or next 5 years from now. Because at the end of the day, and I feel like I made another post about this, and now this is about to bring it to a whole nother topic too. And remind you, we're not going on topics. This is everything that comes with entrepreneurship. You know what I'm saying? This is all the nooks
and crannies.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is all the things that come with it. So one of the biggest things that I had stated to somebody, right? Well, I stated on my Instagram is like, you got to understand balance comes to also being unbalanced.
True.
You got to be put under financial pressure to know how to handle financial literacy. Yeah. So you gotta go broke because we all know how to operate money when we had our goddamn last $10.
Mm-hmm.
When we had our last $10, we know how to stretch $10 for at least a good couple of days. But when we have the most money in the world, you gotta also have money to know how to keep money.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta also know how to lose money, know how to keep money. So you gotta get both under both scales. And the same thing with like doing a business. There's some nights you might have to lose that sleep. A lot of nights, and it comes with you think every day you're going to go in here, work on your business and get 8 hours of sleep? Hell no. Rest is essential, but rest ain't always guaranteed when you're doing this game.
Exactly.
So it's like, every day I can't even sleep 8 hours. Yesterday and this morning, fuck around there, look. Went to bed, my ass was back up at 6. Usually I go to the gym at 6. But I was like, nah, gym, I got time for gym. I always got time for gym. But let me learn this financial skill first because that's just as important as my health too. Mm-hmm. And I know that me learning this financial skill is going to help me in the longevity of time. Because when I have kids, I can give them the game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And what financial literacy is, right? I said this with me and Chris. Me and Chris, mm-hmm. we was on the podcast when we said this. Mm-hmm. I said financial literacy is understanding how America plays the game and using it for your own benefit.
Right.
And if you don't understand the game, you just a piece of the game.
Exactly. And that's when everybody gets the victim mentality.
Oh my God, I got so many bills. Your employer's not in charge of that. You in charge of that.
How many tax write-offs you got?
Damn. How many LLCs you got? How many trust funds you got? You ain't even got none of that.
How many?
So like, you know, and for me, you know, even myself, like how I even came across Chris or I even came across PHP because mm-hmm. I went to the meeting. That's when I sat next to you at that time. Like, you know what I'm saying? I went to the meeting because like Trey Sean, he was like, yo, you need to come to the joint. You know what I'm saying? This might be for you type. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm a swing it. I was like, all right, bet. He was like, if you think you bring some people. So the same people that we're in the house with now, they're the ones that they came with me to the PHP, you know, the joint. So I went to the joint. I'm over there listening to, you know, Chris talking. You know what I'm saying? You know how Chris is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm listening to what he's saying. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. But in the same token, sometimes there's certain points and certain times in your life that a particular skill isn't really necessary at this moment for you to learn. If that makes sense. Like for me, I got it. I was studying the exam, but it didn't feel like it was my time to really learn that, because my mind at the time was so asphyxiated on options and stuff like that. Is that I don't know. It's like you can't be the jack of all trades. You gotta like how this game runs. You gotta master one skill and then go to the next skill. You can't have one skill and then done. Because how a laser work is, the minute a laser hits its target, it burns that target.
Right.
But if your laser going up, down, side, you can't even hit the target.
Right. So one thing, so you know, I used to trade, mm-hmm. and I was very, very active in teaching people how to trade in the foreign exchange market. I didn't do like stocks. I did more so the day trading. And of course, when it came to that, it was like, if you in school, you're a bum. Like, you need to know how to trade. You need to wake up, eat, sleep, drink, trade. Like,
in school, you're a bum. Hey.
Because it's literally like that was the entire mindset that it gave you, and it gave people kind of like, okay, so I have to focus on one thing at a time, you know, and that makes sense, yes, but then that's where the commonality of the mindset. I keep saying commonality of the mindset, but it's like, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Right?
Oh, no one's not saying that. But it's
not. No. Listen, so it's not about how many incomes they have, but it's about how they mastered one income at a time. And then once you feel like you're able to bounce into something else or just leverage something else. So, like, for example, with PHP, mm-hmm. you're able to do whatever the heck you want. Like how you're running podcasts right now, you could be having somebody run an appointment for you. Then you get split on that 50-50, right? So that's like, if you know how to capitalize on different streams, so to make them work for you. You know, like, you don't always have to think of things being so hard, because I'm not trying to sell you on nothing. Like, literally, that's just what it is. And people don't understand to look at different avenues of being able to do that. Because, like, if you were to come up to me and be like, man, I don't even got time to do this, but can you run this appointment for me and just, you know, split it with me? Then people gonna be looking at that, oh, he trying to finesse. Like, nah, like, that's legitimately how that works. And I feel like that's something that's not expressed in many different realms of the industry, because they're so selfish, you know, like, we don't look at it from a selfless point of view.
I think you can't explain experiences to people who doesn't want to go through the experience.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's like a big thing. I can't tell someone, you know how many times I did blah 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 blah. If they're not willing to go through what I'm going through, they never will truly understand of the headache, the heartache, the uncertainty, mm-hmm. the misconception, the change of thought process, the redesigning process that comes with, and like in entrepreneurship, you have to redesign yourself. It's like literally it's mandatory, because like there's no way in hell you're gonna sit here and make millions off operating off the same mindset you've been operating off the last 20 years of your life.
Yeah, and that's honestly what I love personally so much about my business, is because in entrepreneurship it can get tough, and you just have to you have to understand that the system that we at least work with Chris and with Trey and all of them, we are in business for ourselves, but we're not by ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I just think like a lot of people believe that, you know, and it's cool. Like it sounds very noble when someone be like, I did everything by myself. Man, that shit is a team effort.
It is.
Like, I gotta pay somebody to edit this. Like, I'm not about to just sit here and just do this myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you gotta be able to indulge in, I need help.
Yeah, exactly. I would never want to see, like, of course, like when you edify, for example, Warren Buffett, or when you edify, like,
I see the reaction on him.
Elon Musk. Shoot, any of them, they'll be like, "This is a self-made billionaire,
There's nobody self-made.
Nobody's self-made.
Hell nah.
It's either self-made, or it's team-made, or it's faith-made.
Faith shit, man. Faith made is like the number one
That's
thing that comes before anything else. Because you gotta believe in the process just as much as the process believes in you.
Hello.
So I feel like, when you're going through this process, faith is the number one key aspect. But faith isn't the only aspect, if that makes sense. You gotta worry about execution. Because execution plays a part with faith. So you just can't have faith without execution. And a lot of people, I ain't gonna, like, I've seen posts, man, faith gonna get you through everything. Execution also works. You have to execute.
Yeah, you can't do anything without execution.
Like, people like to talk about law of attraction. We don't talk about law of execution. We don't talk about law of sacrifice.
Facts.
Those is just as important as faith.
Faith is more of an extrinsic term an intrinsic term, because people need to understand what actually takes place when faith comes put in. Like when you're actually when you think about the execution, yes, of course you need to execute, but then what happens when you hit a wall? What happens when you don't get the results that you thought you were going to get?
Mindset.
Exactly. That's where the faith has to always be the forefront of what you're doing.
You also got to know why you did it in the first place.
Exactly. If you don't know your why, if you don't know what you're doing it for, you're going to always just...
So to people who would literally ask themselves this question, what would be considered as a strong why? How will someone would know their why is strong enough?
If it makes them cry.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. Yeah, that's pretty... Or I feel like, if you're... I think another thing is, like, if you do something and you stop, then your why wasn't strong enough in the first place. Because I feel like every time you do something, that subconscious thought of that why is going to be sitting right there at the back of your damn cranium. It's going to be sitting there just floating.
Yeah.
If it's not the first thing in the front of your brain, it's going to be there. It's going to be somewhere floating in that consciousness. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of problems, like even speaking for myself, because nothing that I'm saying on here isn't something I personally experienced, because that's all I can speak from personal experience. But when your why isn't strong enough, it's going to have you consistently at a battle with yourself. And even if
question yourself too a lot.
Exactly. And it's like they always say not to attach your why to a person. So for example, I could be like, oh, I want to retire my parents. Oh, I want to, prove this person wrong. Who cares about them, first of all? Like, don't worry about them. Worry about your peoples, because they did what they needed to do for you. So it shouldn't be, oh, I want to make sure that they're well off. Okay, what are you going to provide for them, type of thing. But then for me personally, my why has more so to do with myself than anything. Because I want to make sure that what I'm doing is not just breaking the generational curse, but it's setting my generations up for being able to learn from what I did, learn from my mistakes.
That's facts, and I feel like, that's why when you look at books, those are literally blueprints. And that's why I hate when niggas be telling me like, yo, action is just as important. But once again, if you gave me a math problem and goddamn well I don't know how to count, how the hell am I gonna solve it?
Exactly.
So I feel like information is very important. People thinking they just want to magically get there without any information, thinking sheer hard work is just going to get you there. You also got to have the knowledge too, because people are willing to pay for someone who has not only the knowledge, the experience. So if you can't have one without the other. You can't have a rack of knowledge without having some experience. But I also believe that if you read over 50 books, you went through 50 experiences, because now you digested what could happen, and now you programming your mindset of if something happened, guess what you're going to retrace back? Something you previously read.
Exactly.
It depends also how often read that book, because some people, they'll read a book one time, thinking they cool. Your brain dumps information that you're not using.
Yeah. So
if you're not sitting here making that brain grow by steady stretching it, by rereading books, rereading is re-adding. Re-add. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you see,
just like
R-E-A-D, re-add. So when you're rereading a book, you're re-adding knowledge.
Exactly.
So if you're re-adding knowledge without any application, then you just become a library. Guess what? A library has so many goddamn books there.
So do you remember the reference I made to Secrets of a Millionaire Mind? So we have a book of the month that we read like company wide, and Patrick but David actually assigns them to us, right? So Secrets of a Millionaire one was for last month, and the first chapter was literally you can attend all these seminars, you can go to these trainings, listen to podcasts, read all these books, but you'll just start consuming every single piece of knowledge, and it'll be held in this little mind bank until you're ready to receive it. It'll just be sitting there.
Or ready to apply it.
Yeah, ready to apply it.
Ready to apply
but that's just like going to church. Like we can go to church every single Sunday, and it's not because, of course, you may have read the Bible before, you know what they're going to say. It's just having to remind yourself of it. Like in a business aspect, the person who actually introduced me to this business, to the opportunity, his name is Cesar Yanis, right? And it took him an entire year to do what took me a month, because I was able to learn from his mistakes. And I had already tapped into reading books like Think and Grow Rich. Like I already had some type of entrepreneur mindset, but people don't understand that people are only like trying to talk to you. Like even this podcast right now, like we could be feeding somebody mistakes that we made that they don't have to worry about making. You know, people don't want to take in that sense of knowledge. They just have the ego to think they know it all. They need to experience it on their own.
That ego is the number one killer of knowledge, bro. Like, if you really think you know everything, bro, you don't know everything. Because when you know there's so much shit out here you don't know, that's when you're growing. When you know there's a lot that you don't know, oh, man. Your whole world just begin to change. Because, like, I thought I knew enough about entrepreneurship, but shit. Once when I started reading all these other entrepreneurship books, I was like, I don't know shit.
Yeah.
I don't know a damn thing. I'm just scraping
the
top, like the top of that cake before I didn't even eat the cake, damn it. I only just scrape a little some
probably only ate the cherry, maybe
the cherry, probably the stem of the cherry. I don't know who the fuck eat the stem of the cherry, but I don't know who the hell eat the stem of the cherry, but it either some whipped cream. I don't know, some people whipped cream. Not whipped cream. That was frosting. Yes, I was trying to figure out what the hell I was talking about.
Frosting's even worse.
Now frosting is that additional
fat. You
fat.
got whipped cream frosting. You can say that.
Yeah, whipped cream frosting. I mean, I ain't really a whipped cream person like you.
But it's a different texture than the regular frosting. The other frosting tastes
kind
fake.
Of thick though.
Yeah,
it's fake. It's kind of thick. It's all. Oh wait, what man? Don't even get me started on businesses now. U.S. I always say this. U.S. is a business, right? And how you think these financial industries be popping so much? Because of the fact that they put the stuff in your food that causes the diseases that you have now.
Everything.
Yellow 5, red 40, goddamn words you don't even know, shit that you weren't even taught in science classes. All that shit is in there, and so it's like that's why I always tell people, man, be aware of what you eating too, because like you are what you eat, not just physically, but what you see with your eyes, what you hear with your ears, and what you visualize in your mind. So knowledge ain't just what you eat. Knowledge is also what you eat physically, food too, because you eating that bullshit. That's what you're gonna be with it. Yeah, with bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You gonna be filled with it. So I just think that also just aligning your intentions with your attention. So whoever you want to become, you gotta make sure your intention is towards that. Right. If you want to become an entrepreneur, if you want to become an entrepreneur and your social media is not filled with entrepreneurs, then you giving yourself the wrong shit.
Yeah.
That might not just be what you want to do, because it's like you gotta literally eat, sleep, and breathe it. But like I said, I want to say balance is key, but balance can be really, really difficult dealing with this game. Like it can be really hard because you're also young too, so you gotta like separate that time too in not only your business but also your youth, because you ain't gonna stay 25, bro. So that comes, it's like I don't know, because you got some people that, you know, they wish they were a millionaire in their 20s, then they become a millionaire in their 40s, and they wish they were 20 again.
So one main thing that, of course, we talk about everything in my business, and a lot of them are family, like they have families, they're married and stuff like that. But me being the age that I am, me being in an older environment, I would say, you know, it's that from all different people, and it's like, of course, like without me even seeing the financial literacy aspect, it's just like, okay, I can learn a lot from them and learn to not make the mistakes they made. You know, I don't want to have to worry about no eviction notice, going bankrupt, losing my car, stuff like that. But seeing how they're able to maneuver as an entrepreneur, even having families and having wives and everybody's all happy and stuff. And like, of course they have ups and downs, but they teach more so work-life integration rather than work-life balance, because there's no such thing as balance as an entrepreneur. It's just
Hell
not.
Nah.
So you
Hell
have to
nah.
know how to incorporate everything. If you're doing something as an entrepreneur that you can't bring your kids around, you shouldn't be doing it. Like, point blank period.
Nice.
You want them
That's
to be involved in the growth because you want them to see, oh yeah, this is normal. You don't want them to think that corporate world and having to work your way up in the ranks just under somebody else is normal.
Man, that's a
And-
myth. That's a myth too. Or work.
Yeah.
You work hard, you make more money. No, you work smarter, you make more money. Intelligence solves problems and also produces money. And when you don't understand that basic concept, financial literacy is not. You don't have to know everything in goddamn real estate.
Yeah.
Unless you want to be really good in that field. But it's the basic concept of get money, buy more income. It's very simple. Like, when you think of stocks, right? You're taking your money and you're making your money have babies. And if you ain't knowing that, then what are you doing?
Yeah, you need to learn how to make your money work for you twice, 3 times, 4 times. So like, just like
If your
what we
grandkids-
work on is indexed accounts, right? So you can, I'm literally like, me coming from the Forex world, it's like my language is how can you use your money twice, and you can leverage money from the index account, put it into your investments. And then you
That's
use those
insane,
investments,
too,
you buy real estate. You use that real estate and you pay for your kids' college tuition.
That's facts.
Like,
That's
literally is no reason why you should be taking out business loans, taking out bank loans. You just didn't have the proper preparation.
So how do you go about people starting? Cause no, this is gonna be a really great question. I just thought of it. Somebody asked me this question a while back, and I realized when I did the interview with Chris, I never really elaborated on this. But I also want to hear your personal opinion on this. How do someone become an entrepreneur?
How do you become an entrepreneur?
Like, cause we could talk about all the aspects of it, but how do someone literally become that or transition into that? Cause of course change is a process. It's not something you could just boom, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, it shit don't work like that, right?
Absolutely. So are you saying once you're already in the field you know you want to be in, or just becoming? Like,
Just becoming that,
it?
like, if someone wanted to become one, or how would they go about? What would be their first step? What in your personal? Because I know entrepreneurship isn't really no one-way street. Because that's one thing I realized too. There isn't no one when it comes to entrepreneurship. Because the first thing when someone think of entrepreneurship, think of money, right? When you think of money, there isn't no one way of making money. Just like there isn't no one way of doing something. So it's like certain people are in a certain fixated mindset. Whereas, okay, if I do it this way, if I do this way, this just as much as someone else did it, then this is the route I should be going. But it's really not no, like, as Kanye said it, there's no one way of doing something. Just like if you call a GPS to this crib, you miss a turn, it's going to give you another direction to give you that same result. So my question to you is, because I kind of like I kind of slid off just a little bit, I realized that. But my question to you is, how do someone go about starting their journey?
Taking a risk. That's the simplest way to put it, because of course it's going to differentiate based on what industry you want to jump into. But you're going to have to, like, risk takers are history makers. Because if nobody did it...
I like that. I like that. Risk takers are history makers.
Yeah, just like, I mean, so we call it note takers or history makers too. But it's like, that's what you should constantly be doing, because you have to learn from somebody who took that same risk. You know, if nobody else did, then shoot, like, where you find somebody else like an Elon Musk getting a whole spaceship and going to space?
Nobody.
But they just, you know, they gonna praise this dude like he's the god on earth because he just took risk, literally.
And that's the thing that differentiates entrepreneurs from average people. And let me give you a disclaimer: there's nothing wrong with being average. To what your success isn't just a one-way thing. What success to you is only for you. You can't let someone else define your success. I think that's one thing too. Just because someone that have all these materialistic things, that could be their version of success, but that may not be yours.
Exactly.
Or if, just say, someone getting a college degree, or they making a lot of money, that could be their different definition of success, but that may not be yours.
Yeah, especially in the entrepreneurship period. Like, just to elaborate on what you say, like, somebody that you're working with, their vision could be to make $1 million or to be financially free. Some people might just want to be financially
100K.
comfortable.
Shit,
Yeah, they just want to be
100K.
comfortable.
Like 100K, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good when I'm at 100K. But also, that's why, you know, self-knowledge is so important, because I feel like when people go to school, they're enforcing people to learn things about other things, but not about themselves. Mm-hmm. They'd rather have someone, not to bash anyone, that they would literally rather have someone study a child at 6 or 7 years of age, studying their sex before studying the knowledge of self.
Yeah.
Right? And I think knowledge of self becomes before anything else, because when you have knowledge of self, you won't fold when things are stacked against you. Things won't change who you are because you know who you are. Circumstances, people, situations won't change that mindset. So like when you have that knowledge of self, nothing can change you. Mm-hmm. Unless there's someone that sees the same vision as you see, that's going the same direction as y'all going, and that can also provide value to their purpose, and they provide value to yours.
Yeah, and honestly, entrepreneurship is nothing but the process of duplication, and seeing
That's the first time I heard that.
Seeing what other people have done, just making it into yourself. But we could be saying all of this, we could have just wasted an entire hour of these people's time. But if they don't have the courage to actually step forward and do it, have the speed of implementation, actually taking in what they actually just heard, and applying it to their own life, they're just going to be going back to the same thing, saying, "Oh, entrepreneurship doesn't work.
Oh, it don't work.
None of this
It's
works."
food." Or when we talk about that, you got to talk about systems, because people can also go on entrepreneurship, have no entrepreneurship, and have no system, no foundation. Your foundation, like literally, when you start a business, 3 things you got to realize in your business, or 2 things. Third thing might just come out of nowhere, because I'm man freestyle. So one of the biggest things, as we said earlier, who is your audience? No, what is your product? Who is your audience? And how does your product provide value?
Right.
Boom. You get that? Then now you got to have systems. What is your routine regimen? What is your routines that you do on a regular basis that provide aid to your business? What are some key foundations or some key components in your business that allow your business to run? Because before you get people in your business, you also gotta, the people who you hire to be in your business operates off your foundation that you already done created.
Exactly.
So if you say, I need an engineer, I need a audio mixer, I need a videographer, those are systems. Mm-hmm. So you buy by those systems, guess what you're doing? You're hiring a videographer, you hire an audio mixer, and you hire someone who does video. I forgot what the third thing I said. But you get what I'm saying. You literally start the foundation of your business. Yeah. And literally foundation of you is understanding who you are, and understanding what you're meant to do, and understand that you do have a God-given gift, and you also have intellectual property. As I spoke about intellectual property is someone is willing to pay for a skill that you already know how to do.
Absolutely.
So I feel like, think of it as real estate property, right? I literally just made a post about it. I'm going to repurpose my post. And I want y'all to go like this. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got like it for real. But I was saying that think of your mind as a real estate property. It'll go up in value as long as you keep renovating it, or depending on the property. Where is that, right? So think of your mind as the same case. As long as you keep renovating your mind, the intellectual property increases.
That's facts.
So you keep giving yourself more ways of learning, or you keep learning more, guess what that does? Your mental stability, that intellectual property that you have, increases tenfold, because now you know so much. People are now willing to pay for what you've been teaching yourself, or what you've been programming yourself to learn for how many years you've been learning. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say learning never truly stops, because there's a lot of people that literally go out of school thinking learning stops.
Yeah.
It don't stop. Literally, RIcarda said in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, he was speaking that life will literally give you the same lesson until it's learned. Yeah. Literally keep giving you the same shit until you learn what you're doing wrong. And if you're not learning, then you're not growing. If you're not growing, then you're not learning. So you become very stagnant if you're not understanding what's being transpired in the situations that you've been putting yourself in.
That's everything. And
99.9% of the time, situations that you've been placed in is on you. Accountability is a real thing. If you're not taking accountability, no one else is going to take accountability. And it's still going to be on you, because you got to take accountability for your own accountability.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? That's so, like, you thinking, like, and it's good. That's why I say it's also good with when you talk about surroundings, right? it's also good to hang around homies or your girlfriends or your buddies or whoever your association help you to be more accountable. Because if you're not hanging around accountable people,
they're going to keep dragging you right down with them.
Exactly. And sometimes friends, I love people when they have friends. I love friends. I got friends. I love my friends, right? But sometimes your friends don't play a factor in your purpose because you're hanging around the wrong association.
Yeah.
That's like one of the hugest things, right? And sometimes it takes yourself to distance yourself from them to realize that. And a lot of times, oh my God, people don't like loneliness. People don't like being by themselves and trying to study themselves. They feel like it's too hard. Shit, it's damn sure too hard for you being around them same motherfuckers that ain't learning.
Yeah.
It's just as hard.
It's power in isolation.
Right. And so people like, I can't be in isolation. Well, I'm sorry, buddy. Like when you do entrepreneurship, you got to be isolated for a while.
Yeah.
You got to stop them damn clubs. You got to stop going out. You got to stop eating X, Y, Z. You know, it's a lot of habits you got to stop. It's a lot of habits we've been pre-programmed. It's not just from society, not just from the government, but we also been pre-programmed from who we've been around, like our family members. Like mindsets are programming, bro. Like you hang around people that had a poor mindset. You could, because you've been around that for so long. So it's like, you got to understand to go against the grain. And going against the grain can be an uncomfortable thing. It can be so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. Like, who wants to defy their parents? Because you feel like your parents is in the best of your interest. We feel like we don't want to defy certain people because we feel like those people are in the best of our interest.
Man, that's just, honestly, truly. I mean, not the... That was just like a brush off, but it costs to be uncomfortable. Of course, being an entrepreneur, you have to be uncomfortable. And when people say that they want to focus on what their parents tell them because they have their best interest at heart, you think your parents are going to be like, oh, it's perfectly fine for the people who dropped out of school and ended up making $1 million.
It's perfectly fine to be a slave for a business for 40 years and have no results. You down there work until your hands bleed, until you're out of energy, until everything, and then have no results because guess what? Robert Kiyosaki said it the best. You're not minding your own business. Minding your own business is having a business outside of what you're working for.
Exactly.
So, like, you can be an accountant. I ask you, what is your business? Oh, I'm an accountant. Oh, you're an accountant.
For who?
Oh, no, for who? oh, Bank of America or goddamn Navy Federal Credit Union. No, that's your profession.
Yeah. Do you have equity?
Do you have what else you're doing?
What is equity?
What do you even know what that is? Like you're like no. Now they go brain fart. Now they act like they goddamn dumb because they're shit. Now my brain is just like now the juices is really kicking in because I just thought of some shit. Nah, because you had said something about risk taking, right? I wanna retract that back real quick. When we talking about risk taking, we need to evaluate. There is a such thing as calculated risk. You gotta have a calculator. You don't just take risks. That's like me being on a plane. I got a book bag on my back. When I'm taking a risk, I'm jumping out. I don't know if that shit got parachute or got pencils and books in it. I could be jumping out that joint. And I'm going down. I'm over that joint. I have a whole bunch of pencils and shit. Pencils, books, calculators, rulers, shit I don't need. It's flying in the air while I'm going splat. But then there's a difference of, all right, you got your book bag on your back. You check it. Okay. All right, I got a bag here. You see, now you're taking somewhat of a risk. Now, after you jump out that plane, and the thing about a journey is it's nothing pre-planned. You got to plan as you go.
Exactly.
So people, and that's another thing a lot of entrepreneurs get pressure under it because they feel like they got to have the whole plan mapped out. They got to know plan. If you know from plan A to plan Z, then your vision isn't big enough.
So something that I read in Atomic Habits.
$5 too. I should have bought that here.
Yeah, I think I got it in my bag. I'm gonna stay down.
I got 2 or 3 books, but sadly my webcam is sitting on them.
Oh man. Well, so Atomic Habits, right? It basically just talks about small habits compounding up to the greater thing. So just like he said, going from you can't even go to A to Z. A to C. You got to start A. And you got to know what your Z is, but what's B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, right? You have to figure out every single middle portion. And one of my favorite things that I was taught when I was trading in the foreign exchange market was risk management. Because you can have a long-term goal, like your long-term goal is, I'm going to make $10,000 this month. Okay, so what's your lot size? And then what are you going to actually plan to make every single week? Because you have to choose that lot size. You have to decide how much you're willing to lose, because in a variable account, you go up and down. Once you figure out how much you're able to lose, you need to stop right there. Figure out your stop loss. If you like, oh, I made my goal for the day, but I want to make one more trade because I want to be greedy.
No, greedy.
Because I want to be greedy.
Greed kills success,
You need to double back. Figure out your risk management. Do not over leverage. It's so many different things that takes, like, you don't understand that in those simple little 3 actions, how that relates to the every single else that you do in the world. Every single thing that you do wherever you go outside. Because you can't get greedy and over leverage. You can't keep taking risk when you know you already reached your goal.
Greed is just desire over desire. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So,
and it completely dissipates the purpose of what you're doing it for in the first place.
You know, it's so crazy you said that too, because I was thinking about something that I read. I listened to the RIcarda Rich Dad podcast, and he was stating, it was somebody he was featuring on there. He was talking about Henry Kissinger, right? And Henry Kissinger said this, and that hit home run for me. I was like, damn, that makes a lot of sense. He said, this is what he said. He said, if you control the food, you control the people. If you control the energy, you control the continent. If you control the money, you control the world. And I was like, whoa, I said, oh man, what? You control the money, you control the world. And that's facts, because money make the world go around. Mm-hmm. People will literally do anything for the smallest dollar, right? And now we're going to go back to what you were saying about risk management. But take that as a bar too, because I'm sorry. Sometimes I be listening to so much shit so often, it's just be like, oh, damn, I remember I heard this. Now I got to, you know what I'm saying? Or I went through this, and I got, you know what I'm saying? So when we go back to talking about risk management, what is called a risk, right? A risk is a lack of information of knowing the outcome. Mm-hmm. What is calculated risk? Calculated risk is knowing that there is a risk, but having a plan of knowing where you may land. So when we're talking about risk, right, there were literally people that said, okay, I don't want to invest in real estate, or maybe be some people like, oh, I don't want to go in PHP. You know what I'm saying? Why they would say that? Because they have lack of information about that. Exactly. That's why they don't want to do it. Exactly. So the more you educate yourself, the more is less of a risk and more of a calculated risk. Knowledge is what limits risk. Mm-hmm. Without knowledge, there will always be risk to anything you're doing.
Without experience, knowledge is nothing too.
That's true too. That's true too. That's true too. So, sometimes I find myself, reading a book, and I find myself being in certain situations where I was like, damn, I really read this book, but what knowledge is I'm applying in this particular, this situation. And sometimes you might read something that might not apply to you now, but later on down the line, you might end up running into that situation. And sometimes some of the knowledge can't even be applied right now because you haven't even gone through enough to go through that experience. So naturally, your brain gonna dump stuff that you aren't really utilizing. So I could literally sit here and read all the stuff in Rich Dad Poor Dad, but my experience, I might not even experience that till 6 months from now, years from now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna naturally dump information. That's why it's always better to re-educate yourself, because you never know when you really will go through that experience, and you have to happen to apply that what you read and put it into application. Yeah, man. And that could be the most difficult thing, because you never know when you'll go through that experience. Yeah. And that's why reading is so essential, because reading allows you to go through that experience. So you couldn't take a jump without knowing how to jump. Mm-hmm.
You can't ride a bike without knowing how to walk.
Right.
You can't run before you know how to walk. You can't walk before you know how to crawl.
And people be trying to speed the boat when it comes to this process. Mm-hmm. So what do you think is one of the biggest hindrances in people elevating their mindset?
Elevating their mindset. I mean, I would say one thing that it was for me was the fear of the unknown.
I remember that.
Yeah, but I think we get so caught in fear, like one main thing is that you can either feed your faith or you can feed your fear. Whichever one you feed the most is going to win. So if you always moving in fear, it's like you could be literally presented something that you've been praying for, and God shows it to you, but it's not what you thought it would be. So you're like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that, but you didn't even know that's what you literally been asking for.
Yeah, and it's like fear. All fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
your mind will literally think of fear that you haven't even experienced it yet. You don't even know if that's even a real thing. It's just an imagination. And I think the difference between us and animals is that we have the ability to conjure up and create a future that we haven't even lived yet.
Yeah, and that's oh man.
That's your
Because it's like, man, like, because somebody like me, right? I feel like I think of the best case scenario and I think of the worst case scenario. I think of all cases scenarios, and I'm going to whittle out which ones I feel make the most sense. So when you have that type of
that's a good one.
I want to say leverage of your mind, it kind of it forces you to go faith over fear. Because if you think of everything that can consistently go wrong, then you're never going to think of what can go right.
And your thoughts do become things. So the most thing you think of what's wrong is going to go wrong.
And as soon as you speak it, it becomes fruition.
Everything is vibration. Voices are vibration. Everything is a form of energy. What you think, what you say, what you feel. And sometimes feeling plays a factor of what emotion is, right? So what emotion is energy and motion. And energy and motion is something that you felt, it's kind of like delayed, right? If you felt anxiety or fear, it's something that happened previously before that made that emotion happen.
Yeah.
Now you're just feeling the effects of it.
Yeah, and it's gonna you're gonna consistently build up a trauma because you haven't overcome that fear yet.
Right.
So, like, for example, in my business, if you scared to pick up the phone, it's because somebody told you no before, or it's somebody like
fear of failure.
Yeah, like somebody yelled at you over the phone or something. And it's like you don't want to experience that again.
Yeah.
You gotta overcome that though. Like, especially being an entrepreneur, like you could have a podcast, you could submit it, only get 5 views. You gonna stop?
Shit. I ain't gonna lie. Just to be very, very transparent. Like when I first started doing like some shit on this podcast, man. When I really started rapping about episodes, I ain't gonna lie. My shit was booming. I was getting like 300, 400 downloads, 600 downloads. I said, oh, this thing hitting. But then, over the course of time, it dies down, and your true level of character and authenticity is how you handle the problems in the situation that you most feared. Mm-hmm. So when you hit those rough spots, that's when your true character shows. If you really want that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just like shit, you go to play basketball, you get your ass dunked on, you scared to get dunked on. What you gonna do? Stop hooping?
Right.
If you could dunk on his ass back, you just dunk on his ass back. But what you gonna be scared to hoop? You just gonna get out the game?
Mm-hmm. Ooh. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Now see, I done smarted them out there. Huh? Oh yeah.
So it's not even an idea, but it's something that so at one of our conferences, Patrick Bet-David actually interviewed Kobe. The interview, he was like, if Shaq would have won 10 champions, if he would have worked any harder, he would have won 10 championships, right? Yeah. So he asked him.
That's a fact though. He Shaq big ass.
Okay.
Those size 18 shoes, bro. That shit probably
it was 23.
Bigger than my goddamn head.
Size 23.
Shit probably my goddamn form.
Yeah.
Big ass goddamn feet.
Yeah, for real.
But hey, that's why he's one of the greatest centers of all time. For sure.
So.
Wait.
No, that's cool. We just literally at our conference in Vegas, Shaq came and was trying to squash the beef with Patrick because of that interview that went out there with Kobe. I told you that. I thought I told you that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I ain't know about that.
Well, yeah. So Shaq was there, right? And it just reminded what we was talking about. What?
I just want to know what did Patrick Bet-David say about that? You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of senators. You got Bill Gates. I said Bill Gates. I'm tripping. Bill Russell. You got Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I'm saying? You got all these. So I am a little bit curious what he said. Well, what made Shaq bring that up? Then and there.
Bring which part up?
About squashing people.
Oh, because so literally that interview took place with Patrick when Kobe was still alive. That was literally his last interview before he passed away. And
rest in peace to Kobe too.
Right,
rest in peace to Kobe and
before that tragic accident. So what the beef was because the interview went viral. And he gets to DMing Patrick this long paragraph. He's like, man, I don't know what you got going on with that little company. Blah, blah, blah. It was so extra, right? But, he come and he finally asked him the $1 million question, what was your opinion on what Kobe said? And he was like, if I would have worked any harder, I would have still been Shaq. Just being him. So it wasn't really... It was, it was. Nah,
because I ain't gonna lie, because your look was like as if you had another option. But see, this is not a sports podcast.
I was about to say Steph Curry got me all day, and that's actually LeBron. I know it's not a center, but LeBron was like Steph Curry was his favorite player of all time too. So it was
Steph
like,
Curry a dog. I ain't gonna lie.
that's
Like,
it.
that
He
nigga a dog.
He a champion right now. Only he can talk. So
yeah, for sure.
you know, the rest of them was a little questionable. But regardless, we're not here for basketball.
Yeah.
So basically what happened in that interview with Kobe and Patrick. Patrick asked Kobe, you know, how was he able to recover from missing like 13 threes in that one game?
You know how many people would have lost confidence missing that many shots?
He said, he literally would have, like, his career would have been over. And what Kobe said is that it wasn't even he saw it happening. It was just that he internalized it, and he was like, F y'all. Like, I don't care. Like, that literally just happened because he's coming from a season where he was only paying, like, I don't want to get the numbers mixed up, but he came from the high school season, and then he had to transfer it into the NBA season. So it's like you looking at my chapter 1, comparing it to somebody's chapter 23. Literally. So it's like, I can miss all these threes. I know I'm going to come back and be 10 times stronger. And that's what we need to look at it in entrepreneurship. Like, you just got to keep going because those failures are going to jumpstart you into going what you really need to get done.
Fail yourself to success.
Yeah.
You like
fail forward.
Yeah, fail forward. I mean, some people fail backwards, and they only fail backwards due to mindset.
Yeah.
They fail backwards, and they be like, why did I fail?
I can't do this no more.
You
I don't
gotta
got no confidence no more.
It really be like that though. It's like, and then 2 is just like learning how to be able to pivot. Know what's not working. That's like one of the key things. Like, you could literally work hard, but you could work wrong.
Yeah.
You could literally be the hardest worker in there. But if your hard work is not efficient and not effective, then you're working ass backwards.
Yeah.
That's like a really, really huge thing. So a lot of people, like, I could literally sit here and work hard as hell on my podcast, but if I'm not searching up different ways of
how to better myself,
market, better myself, all sorts of things that come with podcasting, then I'm not elevating. It takes more than just putting out content. It also takes digesting and knowing what you're doing wrong in your content too, knowing what you can improve on. So it's like you also need to have people that can also tell you what you need to improve on. It's also good to learn how to be able to take criticism too. Don't take all criticism, because all criticism is not good criticism. Because certain people, they just hate. You know what I'm saying? It's like certain people, they'll literally will criticize you on something that they not doing themselves, and they want to nitpick off of something that you capitalizing on just to have you go backwards to where they're at.
That part. But that comes into the associations too, because a main thing, of course, like, in my business, we have award shows. We have a lot of people that get recognized. And personally, the age that I am, I was able to accomplish a lot that older folks weren't able to do, right? And that's not in the way to boast or brag, because even as I'm going through it, I was just always tell people, I put my head down and let God move through me. I didn't even know I accomplished what I did until they were like, oh my God, RIcarda, you better accept what you did, And I'm just like, how the heck do I move? Because these people are forcing me to have an ego. They're forcing me to think higher of myself. And when I was talking to Chris about it, he was like, look, it's only a select few people that you should actually listen to giving you accolades. Not because we know more, but we're the people who've actually experienced that, so we can tell you what is going to keep you set up mentally, so that you don't, when you hit that rough patch, you're not like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world because I'm not doing great anymore. It's learning how to take constructive criticism from the right people.
That's a fact. Yeah. That's huge, actually. That's really huge. And also be aware of who you getting advice from too. Because don't get advice from someone that's not doing what you're doing. Don't get advice from someone who's not taking the risk that you're taking.
Exactly.
Don't take advice from someone that's not making the choices that you're making. Because your choices ain't befitting for everyone.
Exactly.
Everyone's not designed to make your choices that you need to make for yourself to put yourself in the right position, because no one else is responsible for you to be in that right position, right? So, man, I just make hey,
take me to
I'm gonna make that piece of content right there. That we're gonna make that bitch in a reel. That's gonna be a reel right there. But all in all, it's all in the fact of learning to be able to take criticism, take the right criticism, because there is a such thing as right and wrong criticism. Take the right criticism from the right people and dislocate yourself from the wrong criticism from the wrong people.
Yeah.
And sometimes there can be people that can literally give you good advice, but don't take it from their looks. So let me elaborate on that a little bit, right? So a homeless man can tell you how to make millions, but just take the advice and leave the physical appearance. So take what you can use and leave the rest of it to them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, it does. Because I was thinking about that, because you don't want to just target the people who have the results that you want, because it's not like, even if you're just getting started in the industry, you can't learn something from somebody else. You know?
Yeah, unless they're willing to mentor you or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you always got to consistently be a student. So it's not like, I know it's kind of like we going back and forth, because you want to take constructive criticism from people who have the results that you want, but it's not that you cannot continuously be a student and learn from people who may be below you or younger than you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Because everybody has a piece of wisdom to give. It's just internalize it. If it doesn't make sense, you just blurp it back out like a whale.
Yeah, let that shit go through one ear through our other. There's a lot of people that do that shit even when they take advice.
Yeah.
So for the people who don't like to take advice and go through one ear through out another,
you going
only do that when it's someone who does not is not in it for your best interest.
Yeah.
And sometimes too, you gotta understand too. Sometimes it's also the fear of having money or being successful also what stops people from becoming successful. And I also think that's a different type of faith.
It's all in your philosophy, I would say. Like, read The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, because what you just said right there explains the entire book. And they differentiate between a rich mindset and a poor mindset, because we can grow up and our parents are like, oh, you know, like if you're like, oh, can we go to McDonald's? You got McDonald's money? What you mean? Like, it's $5.
$5, Mom. I just want that Happy Meal with that little. I remember back in the day, you used to have like little toys, but it used to be the Cartoon Network with the little Disney toys.
Yeah.
Man, you know what I'm saying? I remember they had
cars when they had cars come out.
Oh yeah, they had a little joint. You pull it back. And this joint was like that.
Don't get me started on Transformers.
Look. Lastly, don't get me started with the Incredibles. The Incredibles, they had like the little dash
and
toy.
You could pull the leg out with the flexible. Dude. I forgot his name.
That's Miss Elastigirl.
Yeah,
Elastigirl. Yeah,
but
that's
all of that.
Shit. Talk about I know my shit. You feel me? I was a kid once before. Okay, I still got a little child tendencies, and I think. That's another thing, too.
That's what it is. It's literally because we're conditioned, even by our parents, to have these bad conceptions about money.
Grow up.
That one. Or, money's the root of all evil. Pause. Yeah. Because money can either be the root of all evil, or it could be the root of your fruition. You just have to know how it works.
Ooh. Drop the mic. Drop the mic. I wish I was out your mic, but now I wouldn't even do that, dude. I wouldn't even do that, dude, because if we would drop the mic, that joint boom, and that sound would have been loud as hell. Yeah. But what you're saying, yeah, it's also embracing that childlike mindset too. It's nothing wrong with still, because you're in it. Your child you is always in you, right? And I always tell people when it comes to becoming something that you want to become, always become the person that you wish that you needed when you was a kid. Be that person that you needed when you was a child.
Absolutely.
Be in that transition of that. Because that little you always laugh and always smile. They're seeing everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think of it vision as a theater. You have you now and you have the you that you're supposed to be. And the you that you're supposed to be is watching the theater, the movie that you're obviously operating off right now. Like right through these lenses right now I'm looking at right now, a lot of things would be considered as first person. The me that I'm supposed to be to become, right, is sitting in a chair in a theater watching me do everything that we're doing now and watching the journey as it goes.
Yeah.
And in some cases, he's also, or she, is also directing you on what you should be doing about the movie. Because this person that's watching this movie already knows the ending.
That's dope.
So, and if you make the wrong choices, then that you that's supposed to be, who you're supposed to become, gets confused. Does that make sense?
It does, and it just has me thinking about how when people say, oh, things keep happening to me, my life is happening to me. No, what is life doing for you? You're consistently creating your own narrative. You're in control of your own life. So.
And there's a lot of people.
I was about to say something. What? No, I said I was about to say something. I forgot.
You just put me on some shit. Hey, all right. Here's another thing too. You know, when we talk about changing the narrative, I'm just gonna elaborate. I'm just gonna slide. I'm gonna like brief across it. Like when we talk about changing the narrative too, there's a lot of people that fall under someone else's narrative of a lifestyle that doesn't even belong to them. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people that literally would literally sit here and they literally follow a construct that someone else has given them because they believe that that narrative that person giving them is the best narrative for them. And I understand. I was there too. I went to UDC and I went to PG and I thought school was for me. And I'm not saying school ain't for me. I just see that there's a different route into doing this. And you don't need a college degree to consider your intelligence.
Yeah.
Right? Intelligence is not what you know, it's what you have. All right, put it this way. Intelligence is not by what you have, is what the amount of time. Fuck.
You're good.
Oh, I'm getting a little tongue twister. My brain is trying to think and trying to speak at the same time. Let me dial this back a little bit.
You're good.
I need that, bro. All right. So intelligence is not by what you have, it's by how you use with what you have.
How you use with what you have.
To get you what you need.
Okay.
So it's like, it's not what you know. It's like what I was doing. I'll give you a prime example. When I first started this podcast, I didn't have this. I didn't have this. I didn't even have that webcam. I didn't have none of these lights and none of this stuff. But when I first started my podcast, I was like, all right, how can I roll with some $30 mics, some little small ass $30 mics? Boom. All right. I don't have what I need, but I'm thinking I didn't even look up no YouTube videos or nothing. I'm literally sitting there using my brain. I'm like, all right, how can I roll with this? I was like, all right, I got an iPhone. All right, bet. All right. What else do I need? All right, let me see if I can get a multi-directional aux cord. Boom. Then use a small phone aux. Boom. Hooked up to the phone. I was like, all right. What else I need to do? So it's like, I don't have what I need, but I'm trying to get something what I need to get started.
Making it work with what you got.
Yeah, so my phone, that's intelligence. Working with what you have to get what you need.
Exactly.
Damn. That's the quicker way of saying it. That was a quicker way of saying
Working with what you
I was trying to get big. I'm going through a brain fart, all right? Because this. But yeah, that's really what intelligence is. It's not how much you know, it's how much you work with what you know to get what you need.
Exactly.
So if you know how to operate what you have now to get what you need, then you'll consider intelligence, because intelligence could be many things. I could be intelligent in one area, you could be intelligent in a whole different area, but it doesn't mean you're no smarter than me.
Exactly.
So a lot of people that's why I blame school in a lot of ways, because people
just hit a nerve.
So when people go to school, it's like, school put people in this box of everyone learns the same, and there's different ways of learning, different ways of understanding. So that same child that has like ADHD or have a different way of learning, it doesn't mean that the child can't learn. It's just that the teacher's teaching methods doesn't suit the child's learning system. So when a teacher can learn different ways of explaining a subject, but in different ways of learning, then you can expand on different children learning different ways and all still getting the same result. Yeah.
I definitely give kudos to, so I went to a Spanish immersion school. So I would, like, for elementary school. So I'm like fluent in Spanish a little bit, you know. But it's like,
you gotta put me on game. Cause I was studying Spanish because I have, but you know, I got Duolingo on my phone. Yeah.
Man, you won't even learn proficiently until you just put yourself out there. Go to Spain or something. No, don't go to Spain because they have a lot of lisp. But go to like Mexico, Chile, something like that. Argentina, I don't know. But Puerto Rico, that could work too. But you know, it's like, I
know you know Spanish. The way you just pronounce that, Puerto Rico. Like, it's the way you say it. I'm like, yeah.
So primarily, so a lot of people in PHP, they're Latino, and a lot of my team is Latino. So it was
you putting emphasis on
because I got a little accent. Like I learned, so I kid you not, I learned Spanish and English when I was 4 years old, and it would be one day English and one day Spanish. If you didn't speak Spanish on those days, you learned in Spanish math, science, social studies, even like how they have English but Spanish.
Give me all the stuff they give you, something they don't even.
Yeah, but it's you could get a detention. You're like 4 years old, so I learned it as like my first language ×2 type stuff. So.
Damn, if I know Spanish, boy, I'm gonna learn though.
It's easy to learn.
I want to learn like 4 languages though.
It's easy to learn.
I want to learn Italian, Spanish, French, and another one.
Literally, all of those
French
are the fruit. I said the fruit. All of those are the root of Spanish.
The fruits. You work on the roots and then you get the fruits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Puedes hacer uno, puedes hacer el otro.
Yeah, I don't know what you said. I think you just said
if you can do one, you can do the rest.
Yeah,
so that's in Spanish, you know. But
I might have to put like some subtitles there.
Yeah.
I think that would be funny as hell. Like, like just put the little subtitles in there when you say that. Yeah. I think that would be fine.
But dang, I forgot where I was going.
My bad. I think my bad.
No, it's okay. I have brain farts.
My bad. You give yourself a couple seconds. I go.
What are we talking about?
Oh shit. I'm kind of low.
My mind.
Nah.
But I was like, oh yeah. So like how people had different learning styles.
Right.
Bingo.
Yeah. Right.
So literally how it was easy for me to learn Spanish and keep track of it all these years. There's plenty of people that I went to school with back then that don't know a lick of Spanish now. Even though we grew up the same way. Please.
Okay, yeah. If I'm trying to, if a motherfucker don't know what Ola is, bro, just go home.
But it's all about the teaching style, because even though we could have every single subject in Spanish, I didn't fully take the grasp of it until I got to high school when one of my teachers would play a Spanish song every single class. And it's like, oh, I start dancing and then they have the lyrics up and it's just like watching a show on, I know how to do all that.
Shit. Hey, we got a little salsa.
The Mexican folklore, salsa, merengue.
People who personally know me, I get down.
All right, that's it.
All right, real talk though. Real talk. Back to the podcast though. Real talk.
Yeah,
we gonna swing it. But nah. I was just bullshitting. But I do not. I actually kind of do not get down. No, you guys.
Not with the blue face. That just can't.
Blue face, baby.
But see, I feel like I learned more proficiently or efficiently. I don't remember which word it would be. But from learning it from songs and music and like seeing it in a different spectrum a perspective, because you can hear it in words, you can read it, but some people learn better from live interactions.
Right.
Most people learn better from live interactions.
I think that's a fact. And I know even when we go across like learning, right? I'm a person that, I do have like an anime YouTube channel, so I do watch anime shit like that. But however, what I was gonna do was, in order for me to study Spanish, I was just gonna look at all my shit in Spanish subtitles. No, Spanish dub. No, I think it's Spanish dub. Spanish dub with English subtitles.
Right.
Whereas I can see them speaking, and I can also repeat the words that they're saying as they're going. So
yeah, I know like 2-3 people that actually learned a good lick of Spanish by watching all the Money Heist seasons. And of course, they're in Spanish, but
Money Heist is actually lit. So that shit will actually make you want to learn. That shit will make you want to learn some more Spanish.
Yeah, but we not sponsored, so.
Hey, I'm gonna need you. Hey, editor, I'm gonna need you to edit that out real quick, cause we ain't paying me for this. So, you have anything else? I think we went across a good chunk, bro. Like I ain't gonna lie. Like, hopefully I didn't really miss anything, cause then we could just make a part 2.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a lot more. It's just that I think we touched on a lot, and I think it's a lot that we touched on. I think there was things in between the lines that we just didn't pick up on. Right. Because I think it's a lot that you said. I just didn't pick it up on it then and there, but I think it's a lot that it can be like evaluated throughout this topic. I don't know. I might just I'm gonna do a revision of this and just see what else. Because I think it's a lot. It's so much more to it. All I'm saying is, all in all, man, like dealing with financial literacy and entrepreneurship, just to narrow it down, it's not peaches and cream. It's not easy. It's not overnight. It's not something that you just gonna get up and just say, boom, I got money. You gotta go through brokenness. You gotta be broke to have money. You gotta also have money to have money. You know what I'm saying?
One thing, I want to tell a quick story, because I wanted to tell this earlier, but I forgot if we moved around. So one thing that, how I said we would see an opportunity that we're praying for and we don't even recognize it until we actually
got my
make
bag
it
back again.
So
I'm back in my bag. Go ahead.
How I got into PHP, it was completely coincidence. Like it was this dude that just randomly messaged me on LinkedIn. Like I said, we got to take risks. So I was like, why not? Let's try it. Take a leap of faith, right? But I was having this grand idea of opening a mega beauty supply store, because I was working part-time at a beauty supply. And if you know anything about the beauty industry, it's ran by Koreans primarily, right? Not to say there's anything wrong with Koreans. It's just that they don't really value you as a customer, the people who give them all the money, unless you work for them. So I was just like, man, like, why aren't there any black-owned beauty supplies? And, it's just like, you would walk in there thinking it's black-owned. But I actually asked my owner, I said, Steven, you can crop out the name, why is it that there are no black-owned beauty supplies? He said, because y'all don't have the wit. Y'all don't have what it takes to actually learn and go through the trials and tribulations, getting things to make it happen. And I took that personally, because it's like, if you don't have the support that you feel that you need to make something happen, you just give up. And
that's for sure facts.
it was like, I'm just thinking, oh man, F you, like I'm gonna open this mega beauty supply. I'm gonna have all my entrepreneurs around the perimeter of it, and I'm just like, everybody
call
can
them like
do
they
it.
snipers or something. Like,
Yeah.
I'm having look.
You do hair, you a barber, you do nails, you do lashes, waxes. Hit me up because we gonna make something shake, right? But I'm huge on community, so I'm like, we can have these giant networking events and just let people meet each other from different industries. We have people from, maybe just crop all this out because I don't want nobody stealing my idea before I make it happen. But I'm just having this grand idea, right? With no money to fund it. And that's when this actual opportunity jumps into my lap. And it wasn't until a few months in where I noticed that, of course, we focus a lot on life insurance. Mm-hmm. But it was my sophomore year of high school. I actually lost my bestie. So it was my aunt, my godmom, to breast cancer. And literally 4 months after my previous aunt. So her sister passed away from breast cancer. She passed away from it 4 months later. And of course, it's just like, dang, like, where do I go from here? But just kind of learning to accept it, I'm like, okay, well, I know she really, really wanted me to go to school. She wanted me to graduate. Even if I don't see the personal gain in it, I'm gonna still get the piece of paper. I'm gonna make her happy. I'm gonna let her smile down on me, right? But I wanted to go to North Carolina A&T. If you know anything about out-of-state tuition, it can be hefty, especially if you go to NCAT, because everybody from the DMV and their grandmommies want to go to NCAT. Love y'all, Aggie pride.
Hey,
but
I know some people that just graduated from this. Shout out to them.
But it's
they know
like,
who they are,
man,
though, if they peep it. You know what I'm saying? I don't expect everybody. But
NCAT is solid. It's very solid. But it's like, that was my dream school since I was a jit. So I ain't from Florida, I ain't from Baltimore, but I say jit. So
we say cap, and they ain't even us. That's some Atlanta shit.
Seriously?
Yeah, cap. No cap is from like no cap. It's like
I knew it came from somewhere. We always stealing something, but
we don't say how I don't know where the slang come from. No kizzy. What the hell is no kizzy?
I was saying that for a minute. I ain't even gonna lie. But
I mean, you get adjusted to it. I mean, you be around it. But back to what you were saying. Back to what you were saying.
So my senior year, right? That was actually when we jumping into COVID and everything was just like, oh my god, what are we gonna do next? And I was like, I had my mind done set on going to A&T. But I had, this whole entire, I was just like, I don't have any money to fund it, but if there's a will, there's a way. Now, fast forward, I get a phone call, and this woman's like, yes, is this RIcarda Mills? Okay, you had to, verify your social. And I'm like, who the heck is this? They're like, yeah, so you were a beneficiary on your aunt's policy. And I'm like, what the heck is a beneficiary? Who is this on my phone? Oh, yeah. Like, I'm getting all defensive.
And person that, that gets the money after the person.
Exactly,
yeah,
but I ain't know that.
I learned that from y'all, though.
Hello.
I did learn that from y'all, though, because I literally got, like, cards that I literally was writing the definitions on at the time. When I was on it hard.
And see, I was 18. I didn't know what a beneficiary was. So fast forward, they're like, just open the door in 2 days. And I was like, okay. So this person came to my house, and I checked my bank account 2 days later, and literally $36,000 hits my account.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, that's literally 1 year of out-of-state tuition for A&T. If it weren't for literally someone sitting down and educating her on what life insurance was and then making me a beneficiary on it, I wouldn't have been at my dream school. And that entire thing lasted me for a full year, but because of COVID, I decided not to go. Lasted me for 2 years. As soon as that 2 years starts going away, the money starts trickling down, I get introduced to PHP. Which is now taking care of my tuition. And I have the knowledge to fast start every single person that I come in contact with so that they don't have to worry about the same things. My kids are going to be set.
Set. You know what I'm saying? That's all it's really about. So even going to like more in-depth purposes, like when you do this type of game, it has to be something done. This game is not just about you. It has to be done things that's coming behind you. That's family members, that's kids, that's whatever the case may be. Because I feel like if a person just did it just for them, they ain't gonna go so far because they're only gonna do things that they feel like doing because it's for them. Man, you know what I'm saying? And I've been in that scenario. I've been in that scenario where I said, all right, I need to do this, but I was only thinking about me. I'm not thinking about what the cost, what the benefits of me doing what I should be doing out of this choice. And when we think about choices is it's simple, but it's not easy. You can make choices every day, and every choice matters. But when you move with intention, every choice does matter. Yeah. Every single choice. If you get up 6 a.m. and this is another thing too. This is personally me. I everyone is different, but I feel like as long as someone invests time within themselves, they can always make it to the finish line, regardless of whether or not they get up at an earlier time. I'm not just saying wake up late as hell, 4 or 5 o'clock in the after fucking noon. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, whatever time you do have, and if you utilize that time, it compound interest. Mm-hmm. It compounds.
And that's just like having your own business, you know, because people would say entrepreneurship is oversaturated. It's really not. Because if you think about it, there's always somebody who will actually come around and completely revolutionize a business, the way a business is done.
You're lying about that.
And that just like life insurance. Like I just said something about a death testimony. Like why do you have to have someone to pass away in order to get the benefits of it?
Because Robert Kiyosaki said it the best.
And it's not even reality anymore. Because especially with, I mean, not the sellers like that, but with PHP you have living benefits. You can leverage money while you're still alive. So it's like somebody literally made that decision to say this isn't right. Why can we only reap the benefits after a bad thing?
Because death is a business now. People got to realize that.
It used to be.
I mean,
until you educate. You remember?
You educate yourself, right? But it's still technically a business. But however, you're right though. It's a balance of both. It's a balance of both. It's education, but also it is in the factor of it is kind of still a business because you're taxed when you live.
Absolutely.
You tax when you save. You tax when you spend, and you tax when you die.
Actually, I mean, look, we can make this an entire presentation or not, but there are tax codes out there where would you rather get taxed now, taxed later, or taxed never?
I'd rather get taxed later or taxed never.
With life insurance, you can get taxed never because it's life insurance. Look, like if you think about
that's
it,
how Donald Trump did his shit because he put that shit through.
They're like he don't pay no taxes. How the hell do you think he don't pay no taxes?
He put his life insurance policy under a trust.
Well, Disney was funded by life insurance. Literally, Snapchat, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, all of that stuff borrowed from a life insurance policy. Tax never. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. But if you think about it,
that is informational though. That is.
So if you think about it, it's mandatory for you to have insurance on your car. Mandatory for you to have insurance on your health, on what else? On your freaking house, like anything. But it's not mandatory for you to have insurance on your life.
Shit,
so it's you need to decide, is death the business or are you the business?
That's a good perspective. You know, it's crazy that you said it because like when I first got into PHP, I think I was under contested. You know, I still chop up. I haven't chopped up with it in a while. But, you know, I gave myself a life insurance policy. Had no idea, but I knew life insurance was important. I was like, look, let me go ahead and just get this life insurance policy at my age. I was like, bro, I'm only 24, bro. I was like, let me go ahead and just get this life insurance policy. Because, you know, we all living off of borrowed time. So it was like, you never really know when your time is up. And then, like I said, I always believe that, you know, we all have the same time, but how we manage the time is what really matters. We all have a due date, just like everything expires at some point.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I believe that the most underrated blessing is being able to leave out your crib and come back home in one piece, because it's not too many people that sometimes that might be your last time seeing your peoples.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Will Smith said it the best in one of his podcasts with Jay Shetty. He was like, every time before his dad passed away, every time he left his dad, he always gave him a sincere goodbye because he didn't know that was going to be his last time. So he wanted to make sure when he left him, he wanted to make sure everything was sincere, was genuine, it was authentic, and it was love placed there.
And nobody wanted, I mean, honestly, truly, like, nobody wanted to sit up here and talk about death all day. That was my main thing, you know, the main thing is like, we young, you go out clubbing, we might buy some bottles, people be smoking, we doing hookah.
When you do it too much, that's a problem, though.
Yeah, but it's like, if you young, you want to live, okay?
Yeah, of course,
but
that's why I said balance.
Do you think insurance is going to cost the same when you 60 or when you 30? You think you healthier when you 60 or you 30?
Yeah, when you're 30.
Exactly. So you think it's going to be the same price? You done already got the hookah and all of that set up in your system. But everything is a risk. As
you said about the hookah and stuff like that, it's also what you give to your system, too. Because you can have someone 60 healthy as hell, but because the last past 30 or 40 years of their life, they gave themselves the right things they need to put in their body.
But that's a case-by-case situation.
I promote CMOS for sure. You know what I'm saying? I eat vegan meals. Look, put y'all on game. Nah, I ain't even going to say that because they ain't going to give me no money for that. They ain't gonna give me no money. It was a store. It was a food store. I'm gonna put you on game at the
okay.
It's literally like right now. I'm trying to tell you, you gonna fuck with it. It's hard. So yeah, I promote like anything vegan based too, cause I don't eat vegan all the time. But vegan foods are very good. Now, there's another thing too. Just because you eat something healthy does not mean it's healthy. Cause there are some stuff like plant burger, vegan foods.
PLNT.
Yes.
Ooh.
You ain't never heard about that?
I heard of them, but I ain't know they wasn't healthy. I don't eat dirt.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a lot healthier than eating goddamn burger. Because like I said, I believe in energy. So this ain't a health podcast. Well, it is a health podcast. Well, it's a podcast about everything that's needed. But like I said, I believe in a whole lot of energy. Energy is created and never destroyed. It's never created, never destroyed. It flows everywhere, right? Emotions is energy. And when you eat these animals that died, that anxiety, that depression, that stress, and everything is left within that animal after it dies.
Everybody all tired and fatigued.
Right. You see, you got the itis because the reason why you have the itis is because your body is storing more energy than it needs to digest the food that isn't meant for your body. So when you eat these animals that are getting slaughtered and shit, and they having anxiety and depression, and you realize why you got the same thing, it's because you're digesting the energy that was left within that animal after you ate it. Now, I'm not saying don't eat meat. I'm not saying go completely vegan. But have a balanced supplement of what you give your body, because you definitely are what you eat.
Yeah. Just like everything you consume mentally, what you consume spiritually, even your associations. But it's like people gonna do them at the end of the day. You know?
That's a fact.
And regardless of any way you look at it, what would you prefer later on? Like, people don't look more towards the long term. They look at what's going to satisfy them now.
Instant gratification, like we talked about earlier. They want something now. It's like, they don't promote. You don't go to the gym and stand next to a nigga that work out and you get muscles.
Yeah.
That shit don't work. Like, you got to put in work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love the gym for that.
It takes self-discipline to really do what you need to do. It takes a desire of purpose. It takes a desire of a higher purpose. And we talked about it before. Like, I say this. I know we almost about to run on 2-hour podcast. Like, but it's fire though, because it's like a lot of values, a lot of stuff we went across. But I always say, always abide by your higher self. Always abide by your higher power, the higher consciousness, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Because everyone, I always say this. You may say Jesus, Allah, whatever your beliefs are, it all is under the same bridge. Stop separate. This is why Christians and Muslims don't get along, because they choose not to understand one another's perspective. This is how I made an Instagram post about this. Is right or wrong perspective. Nothing can be simplified as right or wrong. Only reason why something is simplified as right or wrong because of judgment. When a judgment involved, then you signify something as right or wrong. Yeah. But the reason why something is wrong to someone is because they don't understand the perspective that the person is coming from. Just like a Christian would tell a Muslim, you're wrong for doing this, but you're not understanding their perspective because you have the lack of knowledge of what they're worshiping.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, regardless, because of course we can jump this into religion versus being spiritual or anything that they like to call it. But I mean, like, I don't judge a single soul. Like, regardless of what you do, like, if you in high school, people be like, oh, she a hoe. Not talking about nobody in specific, but, if they're like, I'm just like, if they want to do that, go ahead.
That's life, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, make your own mistakes and stuff,
If it don't affect me in any type of way, of course.
That's God's business.
Yeah, for sure.
That is not nobody else's business. Sure. That's God's business.
And I think sometimes, too, people want sympathy, too. Yeah. Like, I can empathize with somebody, but I won't sympathize with somebody. So what I mean is when, like, I could feel where you're coming from. Like, I could feel where the spot and place that you've been at, like, empathy is like a feeling that anyone can feel from anyone. You don't have to necessarily go through experience. You literally will feel that energy coming from that person. Yeah. And you can resonate with them. That's why I also made an Instagram post about this. Empathy is a form of art. This is how people connect. And if you're not connected with that empathetic side of yourself, especially guys, the most masculine man is the one, we ain't about to go too deep into this, but the most masculine man is the one that also knows they have masculine and feminine qualities.
Right.
So
yeah.
we ain't gonna talk about that.
No, that makes sense, because people love to think that there's just some perfect specimen that God created. Like, yeah, he might have spent some extra time dibbling some salt, but he ain't make you no different than the next person.
We built with emotions. It's like you can't take emotions. Like, we use emotions in markets.
Yeah.
Well, you're not supposed to use emotions in markets. That's how make you lose more money. Because I do know when I used to be.
Well, what did they teach us? Ethos and logos, pathos. All of that food.
Hey, because I remember I used to be in a trade group, and they was like, never get anxious because greed is a form of emotion. You can feel greed.
If you're trading, yeah.
Yeah, if you're trading, like
it's different dealing with trading because that's an individual action. You can trade or you can work with people.
Yeah, that's
people and trading are whole different things. Like you can go through the fluctuations of the market. You can compare that to people's emotions, but it's not going to be accurate.
That is true. That is absolutely true. So. I ain't mad shit. We done went into
man.
I ain't gonna lie. Look, this was fine.
Yeah.
Like, felt like it was kind of refreshing too. It felt refreshing because it was like a lot that we stepped, a lot of stuff that we stepped into. But all this coordinates in one. You're gonna get a lot out of here. I guess a little bit about spiritual, a little bit about a little bit of teaching in school, just different perspectives. But we just wanted to open you guys up to like a different perspective, how to be able to look at things. And it's not about like. I don't want you guys to agree or disagree with me, but just understand the perspective. And it's like being forceful is trying to force someone to understand where you're coming from.
Exactly.
You gotta allow people to be able to want to understand where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? That's a form. Like I said, that's a form of empathy. You're not forcing your beliefs or you're not forcing your ideology on someone else and trying to make them believe that this is the way. That's why I said success. It ranges different between any individual. I mean. I can't tell you entrepreneurship is the best success you're going to have. That may not be for you. You know what I'm saying? Same thing is like everybody's not meant to be at a 9-to-5 job. But I think it's all in the factor of listening to that higher calling. Yeah. And that's why I was referring earlier, like following purpose, self-knowledge is what aligns you with your purpose. And if you're not following your purpose, how do you expect the things that you want to like to connect with that purpose? Because love, money, all that shit that's a byproduct of purpose. You follow that purpose, that love come, that relationship come, those friendships come, that money come, that new business come, that new house come, all those materialistic things and immaterialistic things, such as, love is things that increases in value over time too. That is something you can't buy with money, bruh. You can't buy passion with money, bruh. Like, you just can't do that. Like, those are things that you just can't replace. Like, money only solves money problems. Money only buys things that comes with money. Yeah. Right? And understanding the mind and understanding psychology, understanding the spirit comes with intrinsic value of knowledge of understanding what the spirit is, what the mind is, being connected with self.
Yeah, and don't get it misconstrued either, because we talked a lot about entrepreneurship and how school might not be for some people and working a 9-to-5 might not be for other people. But we talked about having someone to lead you and being able to learn from their mistakes. So sometimes it might be very smart for someone to work at a 9-to-5 first. Because how you going to run your own business if you don't know how a business is run?
Well, if you don't know how to control yourself, how you going to control a business?
Exactly.
I mean, you are the business, somewhere. As you said earlier. Exactly. I mean, you run it, or wait, the business running you, or you running business, something like that. You said something within those lines, but... Yeah. Yeah, you said something within those lines. But look, at the end of the day, bro, like financial literacy, all right, we're going to literally just cut this short. Look, literally at the end of the day, man, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, it's not just a money thing. It's not just a knowledge thing. It also comes with spiritual things too. It's the spiritual things behind it. You go broke, you gotta feel spiritually rich. This is how you attract those things. You also gotta feel that same feeling even when you don't have money. That's the key thing behind it. You gotta be willing to give. Give is a form of it's like spiritual food, bro. Even that could be another podcast. Gratitude.
You bringing up so many nuggets right now. Being gratitude. Content. That jumps straight into the gratitude. Contentment. Because look, regardless, even if you make a lot of money, if you make millions of dollars, it's like, how are you using those millions of dollars? Because are you using it for your own personal gain, or did God make you a vessel to be able to distribute that the way he wanted you to?
And then when we talk about prayer, right, a lot of people pray. Oh my God, look. A lot of people pray for things that they have the ability to give to someone else. Like I could say, oh man, I wish he had $5, but you got $5. You actually saying a prayer that you should be doing yourself. Yep. Wait, it's so much bar been dropped. We gonna have to run it. We gonna run it too for this.
Like this might be. You can break this up into 2. It'll be a part 1, part 2, and then we got part 3.
Part 3. I don't know. I think that shit gonna turn into like a 4-part series, bro. I think the next, because I think it's a lot. It's like but you can't lie. Like all those play on the factor of what we're talking about.
Yeah, you can't put it all into one.
Yeah, you can't put in. I know. I don't want to cluster you guys with so much information, but I think a lot of it is needed as you digest over time with listening to this. I like long podcasts, actually. I would literally, if I'm not doing shit, if I'm going in the gym, I'm listening to a podcast. You know what I'm saying? If I'm at home, if I ain't doing nothing, I ain't playing on PlayStation or something like that, podcast. I don't even be on a game like that no more. I think that my lifestyle changed once when I became like going into that entrepreneurship actually became one. So I think it changed my habits of what the way I used to think. And I think Atomic Habits played a huge factor that when that was like the second book I read, Atomic Habits. I read like 10 books. 10,
yeah, so what was the books we mentioned? We said Atomic Habits.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Secrets of a Millionaire Mind.
You mentioned Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. You said one. Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad, of course. 4 key factors.
All right. Last question before we end up really just wrapping everything up because we is going on like 2 hours. So last question before we wrap everything up. So what would be books that you would recommend someone to read to put them on the right starter kit? The starter kit, the book starter kit. I got a good 10, but I'm gonna just say 5.
Okay. So you gonna get 5? I'll get 5.
Yeah, we just gonna
Okay.
For sure.
So you go first.
Some books I recommend. One. How the magic of thinking big. I think that's something that would be first start of a mindset. Magic. I always promote mindset books before I promote anything dealing with skill set. Mm-hmm. So I would say the magic of thinking big. That would be one of the books I do recommend. I read that book like twice, and I do have the audio book too.
Sweet.
So the magic of thinking big, and then that would change your mindset of how the way you think. Like it literally shows you the difference between successful people and people who failures. You know what I'm saying? Not to book categorize, but you gotta categorize. You know what I'm saying? That would be one of the books I recommend. So yeah, the magic of thinking big. A second book I recommend, of course, Atomic Habits. Mm-hmm. A third book I would recommend. This book is very complex, and I ain't gonna lie, I don't recommend this book, Eric, because everybody's intention of reading this is very, very conspicuous. All right, so I'm gonna just throw this out there because I read it. 48 Laws of Power.
Hello.
That book,
it's a must read.
That book is. I gotta reread that. Now that book I ain't reread. That book took me long as hell to read that. So that's 3 books. That's 3 books. Yeah, I remember the pages. Like it's 439 pages, 38 pages.
They're audio books, guys.
The audio books is like damn near 10 hours.
Yeah.
Unless you want 10.
You can do the 2x speed.
I mean, well, to each his own. Well, yeah, to each his own. If you read audio books,
really trying to lock in.
I really believe that like when someone has like a book, I think someone should really take annotations as they go because when they reread the book again. They don't have to take those annotations. They can really just fly through the book. Exactly. Like, I even got like my notes on Rich Dad Poor Dad, like literally on my phone.
Yeah.
Hold up.
All books.
Damn. Oh, yeah, you put level up. Yeah. I see you on that, fam.
Yeah. There you go. So we go to the books.
All right. So look, I'm about to show you this real quick because I know I have it in this on all 9 chapters, all the notes. Like I'm just gonna read some of it. Like. It's kind of discombobulated a little bit because you know when you open up a chapter, it also goes up. So I'm gonna read one. Let me see this one, The History of Taxes and Power Corporation. I should just give y'all a quick little bio, just to give y'all a little snippet of what's actually in the book. So I'm just gonna read it. Rich Dad Poor Dad chapter book, The History of Taxes and Power and Corporations. Originally, taxes were something temporary just to pay for war purposes. England and America were tax free. The president or the king would put the word out to everyone to pitch in on producing funds for the war. So technically, taxes was generally created to fund wars.
Yeah, makes sense.
Started, yeah. So England and U.S. were the countries that were tax free. Well, I guess I don't know. Would I call England a country? Yeah. I'll just make sure I ain't. Yes. Yes. I'll make sure I ain't get that confused. Yes. I don't want to sound slow because sometimes I get a little. It'd
be like that.
Yeah. So originally, yes, taxes were eventually actually. Tax free. This country was tax free, and England was also tax free. But until 1776, or I think 1776, England started charging people for taxes. Which 40 years later, America started to do it.
Yeah.
Oh damn, I got that confused. 1874, and then
you had the countries right.
Yeah, I had the countries right. I got the countries right. But The U.S. started doing taxes the next 40 years later after England do it. Now, I will tell you a bar that he does say about how the rich get taxed. The rich will never be taxed. More and more often, we see the government use the tax laws to provide incentives to business owners and investors to create jobs and housing. These incentives reduces the taxes of the rich. So the only place for the government to drive tax revenue is from the middle class.
Tax code 7702.
Yes, sir. But look, all I'm saying is, knowledge is power. Read your books. Fuck. Damn, I know.
My books.
Oh, damn. My bad. Oh, I got one more. Two more books. Because I only stated 3.
Okay, yeah, you said 3.
3. Okay. So, another book I do recommend people to read is, I don't know if people should read that.
Say it.
That's a really real book, too.
The girls that get it, and the girls that don't.
So, this actually is a Robert Greene book also.
Okay.
I read it, too. The Art of Seduction.
The what? Art of Seduction.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's solid.
Yeah,
Even if, especially if you're in sales.
Yeah. I read the Art of Seduction too.
It is what it is.
That book is like that. I ain't gonna lie. But look, all I'm just saying.
Depends on how you take the book.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on how you take the book. But also, the book is not about teaching you how to seduce. The book is actually teaching you how to be your authentic you. Because everyone has a seductive trait. So you just got to know what your seductive trait is. It's not going in there just using hella fucking methods and thinking that, oh, they all want to fucking work. No, you learning you, literally, how you operate. That book is all about learning you. And Robert Greene said that actually in a podcast with Larry Howes, yes. So, and one last book I do have for recommendation is, I'm just trying to refresh my brain because I've read quite a few. What is that book called? Damn it. Well, I haven't read the book because I know the book gonna be fire. So, The Psychology of Money. I can't really explain it because I didn't read it, but I do think that's a really good book. But how do I think that's a really good book? Just look at the cover. You'll definitely get it.
Okay.
I think that would be my 5. But I know it's a 5. It's a 5th book. I don't want to waste too much time trying to think of what the 5th book is.
Well, I have 5 books.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I take that back. 7 Spiritual Laws of Success.
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
I'm right here.
Oh.
That was one of mine. Okay.
7 Spiritual Laws of Success. That was the book I was thinking of. Yes, that book is a must. 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. That is a spiritual book. How the Magic of Thinking Big is a mindset book. Rich Dad Poor Dad is literally an introduction to financial literacy. Damn. Oh, and Atomic Habits is also a mindset book too.
48 Laws of Power.
And 40 Laws of Power is just like psychology, bro.
Yeah.
Psychology.
Literally. So I have, for one, Think and Grow Rich. Think.
Wait. You can go with.
I have words. Okay.
Witch.
Think and Grow Rich was the very first book I ever read in getting into entrepreneurship. And honestly, if it weren't for that, I probably wouldn't even know entrepreneurship, how it really works. Then you also have Give and Take. Learn about the givers, your takers, and your matchers. Read Give and Take.
I'm actually going to put that on my Amazon.
And these books, they're not even like I don't want to say they're strictly mindset or they're strictly entrepreneurship. These are things that we need to know just going through life. And you'll see, like, you'll get life lessons because you'll be like, dang, yeah. It will be like you learn things that you go through on your everyday life. And you're like, dang, these people go through this too? Yeah, you're not alone.
Bro, we all human, bro. We all gonna go through, like, similar scenarios. Sometimes we believe that, like, certain scenarios that someone explains doesn't apply to you, but the principle of it applies to you.
Yep. And then also, you already said it, so I can't say that one. Atomic Habits. Secrets of a Millionaire Mind is literally a gold mine. Even if you don't plan to own to be a millionaire, you're going to learn how to make some money there. Just the mindset behind it. Because our main motto is increasing your identity to increase your income. You can't do that unless you know exactly how to think about it. Then you also have Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. Literally,
yes, I have that in my book list.
The #1 best-selling business book. I'm looking on Amazon. Then the last, I have 2 more. I'm sorry.
You gotta make me stay 2 books then, dude. Hey, go ahead. All right, tell your 2 books. Let's get it.
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
I have that on my list.
And don't think that it's some spiritual book. It's talking about drifting and going from, basically, if you want to relate it to making money, You can say going from that poor mindset to a wealthy mindset, or once you reach that wealthy mindset, how the devil tries to play a trick on you and drift you back into what he doesn't want you to be.
I got a cop now.
Yeah, because it's like as soon as you feel like you're growing into your fruition, of course he's just going to try and take that away from you. That's why when you get major, come ups, then you're going to have a major setback.
You know what? Just to elaborate a little bit on William Devil, I do have one thing. This is just a perspective, just a different perspective. People may agree to disagree on this one. I do believe firmly that the devil and God are partners. Why? Why I say that, right? The devil puts bad things in your way so God can make good things happen. So they're like partners. Mm-hmm. So don't ever really look at something bad happening to you as really a bad thing. It takes a level of mindset and understanding. It's like you gotta have bad things happen. Like God makes something good happen. All right, devil, you know what your job is. Then he swoops back in and puts his place in too.
Because for one, it makes you appreciate everything good even more. And then it gives you the wisdom to be able to lead the people who go through the same thing.
So I never really look at it as, and like I said, this is just my perspective. I never really look at it as it's like them going against each other. It's more like they have two different perspectives, but their perspectives come into one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, devil don't like God. God don't like devil. But however, they need each other to make things happen. They need good and bad. You need sunrise, you need sunfall. You need, in order for a plant to grow or a flower to grow, you need some rainfall.
Yeah.
So I always believe that, I never looked at it in the perspective of, devil is not siding with God and God is not siding with devil, because they both need each other at the end of the day. You got to experience the negative to get the positive. Oh, damn, you just made me thought of another book.
We got this thing.
Damn, you just made me, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
That book, that shit, what? Because I started thinking about it, because that quote was actually in the book and I just thought about it. I was like, oh,
that's
yeah, dude. Yeah, that book hard.
Yeah.
That book hard.
Dang, we could probably end it at that one.
Yeah, we can end it at that one. You already got your 5? Or you said 2?
I said 5, but I had one more to get, but it's cool.
Go ahead, slide in that.
It was going to be the battlefield of the mind.
That actually sounds fire, too. That actually sounds lit. I think
if you have anxiety, if you feel like
let me add
things always coming your way, you don't really know how to get out of it.
Battlefield of the mind, okay.
Even going through entrepreneurship, going through school, going through life, going through your relationships. Mm-hmm. Battlefield of the mind.
That's on my list.
But then the subtle art of not giving a F, that definitely counterfeits that even more. So read both.
It applies more to like that book hard. That actually makes you think a lot differently, especially the last chapter. He was like, "You're gonna die anyway."
Yeah, and if y'all like laughing, please read that book.
Bruh.
That book had me crying.
All right, I do have one part I do remember in the book that had me laughing. He said something about the ice cream man out here handing out
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
man.
I'm trying to remember.
He's out here giving people fuck ice creams for free or something like. But the shit was hilarious.
I was listening to that book on the way to church one time.
It's hilarious. That is hilarious.
I don't even remember. Yeah, that's a great book.
All right, so that's pretty much everything. We said our 5 books. We talked on a whole lot. I don't know, but I think I want to make this into a long session. I'm gonna figure that out probably after this. If I want to make this into like one session, because I think it wasn't like it was a topic that you couldn't just have a laugh on, because especially me getting up trying to fucking dance. Especially that, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's a topic you can't really get anything. It's so much nuggets dropping between both of us. We both dropped like some heavy bombs. Like it was tit for tat. Like, oh, you guys, you guys. So it was good. So I think this is a really, really hell of a good podcast. I definitely appreciate you for pushing up. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna work on another session. This is lit. This is lit. You down?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Bad. So where can they find you?
Oh, so you can
actually about to wrap up. You were like this.
Yeah, you gotta get one of them jumps. But so my Instagram is RVCARDAA. It's pronounced RIcarda. People try to say it like that. 2 A's.
Real talk. When you said your name, I was like, I'm gonna call it Carter. People
tend to make it much more difficult than what it is. If you think of Ricardo, it's just an A at the end instead of an O.
Hey, I would tell you, everybody don't know how to spell.
You don't know how to spell Ricardo? Everybody's seen Ricardo.
Oh, yeah, everybody's seen Ricardo.
It's just an A.
Yeah.
Know?
All right, well.
But so just spell that, but with the V instead of I and double A. So you're going to put it on there.
So go ahead and repeat that one more time.
So it's RVCARDAA.
That's a bet. All right, so, yeah, I mean, I guess if you got any questions, you go to DM. Or, what y'all want to see in the next session, y'all? Because I think this is good. I wasn't expecting it, like, I was sort of expecting to get like, but not really. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was expecting this was going to be like a good session. But not like this. It's like this. This actually was a hell of a session. Like, in so much shit we touched. So, anyways, guys, man, I catch you guys later. Well, it's always. I used to say this at the end of every podcast, but now I'm about to start saying it back again. One of my previous podcasts is faith plus great worth ethic creates vulnerable opportunity.
You say what?
Faith plus great worth ethic creates vulnerable opportunity, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Faith plus great work ethic creates vulnerable opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm
saying? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, all right, guys. I'll catch y'all guys later in the next episode of Unknown Minds Podcast. Peace.